So we're going to take a look at the next excerpt of text. Let's take a moment to look at the questions first. How does the author use the characterization of the Yules and the Cunninghams to reveal aspects of the setting? And this is just a reminder that setting includes social norms, social hierarchies. And then we're also looking at number 8. What does Atticus's explanation of the Yules and Cunninghams reveal about his character? We look at how he perceives the differences between the two families. Atticus said the Yules had been the disgrace of Maycomb for 3 generations. None of them had done an honest day's work in his recollection. They were people, but they lived like animals. You, Miss Scout Finch, are the common folk. You must obey the law. He said that the Yules were members of an exclusive society made up of Yules. In certain circumstances, the common folk judiciously allowed them certain privileges by the simple method of becoming blind to some of the Yules' activities. They didn't have to go to school, for one thing. Another thing, Mr. Bob Yule, Burris's father, was permitted to hunt and trap out of season. Atticus, that's bad, I said. In Maycomb County, hunting out of season was a misdemeanor at law, a capital felony in the eyes of the populace. It's against the law. When a man spends his relief checks on green whiskey, his children have a way of crying from hunger pains. I don't know of any landowner around here who begrudges those children any game their father can hit. So here we have a discussion between Atticus, Jem, and Scout. And Scout's very young, and she's still trying to figure out kind of the world around her, including Maycomb's social hierarchy. So she's beginning to have an intuition, a developing intuition that people are kind of in some kind of social hierarchy, but she doesn't quite understand it. So she's questioning, she's trying to wrap her mind around the social hierarchy. So, looking at number 7, you can see that by contrasting the two families, first of all, we're learning more about the social hierarchy. So I'm going to go up here to the social hierarchy we started, and you're going to see that I've added the Yules beneath the Cunninghams. So we have 2 groups of people. We have the farmers, and then we have the Yules, and it said they're an exclusive society made up of the Yules. So the Yules don't represent a social class like the Cunninghams do. The Cunninghams kind of represent the farming class, whereas the Yules, they're just the Yules. But you can see that they fall beneath the Cunninghams in status, in power, probably in a monetary way as well. But you're going to see certainly as far as respect goes as well. So the Yules are low on the social hierarchy. They represent a class of people below the Cunninghams. While the Cunninghams and the Yules are both poor, the Cunninghams have more respect than the Yules. So if we kind of look at what was revealed through the conversation, Cunninghams are poor, but they don't take government assistance. They don't take charity or loans they can't repay. They do the best they can with what they have. And if you look at Walter as a representative of that class, when you look at the classroom setting, he's clean, he's as well kept as he can be, as well as his means will allow, and he seems nice enough. Whereas if we look at the Yules, they're also poor, but Bob takes government assistance and charity, but squanders it on alcohol. Because of that, they're allowed to break the law. The kids don't go to school, and Bob can hunt out of season. You also see Burris Yule in the classroom, kind of as a representative of that class. He has terrible hygiene and absolutely horrible, abhorrent, mean behavior. All these things are revealed through that conversation. Additionally, you can kind of see the difference between the Cunninghams and the Finches when Walter goes home with Scout and Jem for lunch. You remember she points out the fact that he drowns his food in syrup, and Calpurnia scolds her. Well, the reason that she scolds her is because she's pointing out an etiquette difference between the social classes that might be embarrassing for Walter. Farmers didn't have cooks, and they might not have had the quality of food and ingredients that the Finches might have had. So it was common practice for farmers to use the syrup to kind of mask some of the poor quality food or the lack of good meals, that were cooked maybe by a cook. So, what does Atticus's explanation of the Yules and the Cunninghams reveal about Atticus's character? Well, the most important thing to notice is that, you know, it's in violation of the law to keep kids from attending school, or when parents don't send kids to school. It's called truancy, and it's against the law. But here, Maycomb allows them to get away with it. Well, when you talk about whether or not following laws is moral and right, most people will say, yep, it's the right thing to do to follow the laws. But you're going to see Atticus realizes that the world is not that black and white. He realizes that sometimes there are things more important than following the law. He has empathy, he feels for others. And so, when he talks about the fact that the kids, or that the Bob can hunt out of season, well, that's so that the children don't starve. He realizes it's more important to protect the children from starvation than it is to follow the law. And when we look at the schooling, we saw Burris's behavior in class. It was very disruptive. It was mean. It might have incited fear even in the other kids. And so many people would say, it's better to protect the children who are in the school rather than expose them to people like Burris, children like Burris, who didn't even want to be there. However, this does raise some concerns. When I look at it, allowing the Yule children to skip school means that they're always going to be stuck in that cycle of poverty. It's never going to get better for the Yule family. So it's kind of, I think, controversial whether or not that's the best thing to do. If the Yules were forced to go to school, might they find a way to break out of their family norms? Maybe, maybe not. Is it worth the sacrifice of what the other children would have to put up with? Maybe it is, and maybe it isn't. That's why it's controversial. It would be up for debate. But Atticus realizes that sometimes, regardless, choices involve identifying the lesser of two evils or the greater good.